Welcome to Section 7, Lesson 1, Video 1. Here we'll be solving problems involving objects. Now in this video, we're going to focus on the volume of composite objects. Now a composite object is an object that's comprised of two or more distinct objects. So for example, say you have a grain silo, which is comprised of a cylindrical base with a cone top. Or this shed here, which is a rectangular prism with a triangular prism on top. If you're asked to find the volume of either of these objects, you would just find the volume of each object and then add them together. So now for example 1, we have to find the volume of this composite shape. So let's first determine what it's made up of. Well, on the bottom, I see a square prism, and on top, I see a square pyramid. So let's just find the volume of each and then add them together. So let's start with the square prism. The volume of a square prism is length times width times height. Now the length and width are both 14, and the height is 16. So if I multiply these three numbers together, I get a volume of 3,136 cubic feet. Now let's do the square pyramid. The formula for volume of a pyramid is length times width times height divided by 3. Now the length and width of the pyramid is also 14 and 14, but the height is 8. So now if I multiply that together in my calculator, I get a volume of 522.7 cubic feet. So now the total volume would be just the sum of these two volumes, 3,136 plus 522.7, which is 3,658.7 cubic feet. Now for example 2, how much garbage can the bin below hold? So here we're looking for volume, the amount of space inside. So I see that the base here is a cylinder, and on top we have a hemisphere. So let's find the volume of each one and add them together. So let's start with the cylinder. The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So I see that the radius is 15 and the height is 76.4. So plugging them into my formula and then working that out in the calculator, I get 54,004 cubic centimeters as the volume of the cylinder. Now let's do the hemisphere. That formula is 2 pi r cubed over 3. Now the radius of the hemisphere is going to be the same as the radius of the cylinder since it sits perfectly on top, so that would be 15 as well. So now when you multiply 2 with pi and 15 cubed and then divide by 3, you should get a volume of 7,068.6 cubic centimeters. So now the total volume is just the sum of these two numbers, which is 61,072.6 cubic centimeters. So now we can say that this is the amount that the garbage bin can hold. Now in this last example, it says a set of 3 tennis balls are packed vertically in a box so that the surface of each tennis ball touches the side of the box. Now if each tennis ball has a diameter of 5.8 centimeters, what is the volume of empty space between the tennis balls and the box? So let's draw a diagram to represent the situation. So here I can see I have my 3 tennis balls stacked vertically in a box. And because the balls touch each side of the box, that means the width of the box is going to be the same as the width of the ball, which is 5.8. So to find the volume of the empty space, we can start by finding the volume of the box, then the volume of the 3 tennis balls, and then subtract them, because that will give us whatever's left over. Now let's start with the box that the 3 tennis balls are packed in, which is a square prism. since both the length and width of the box is both 5.8. So now the volume of a prism is length times width times height. So like I said, the length and width are both 5.8, but what is the height of the box? Well, let's figure that out. Each tennis ball has a diameter of 5.8, so if we just add them together, then we would have our height, which is 17.4. So filling that into my equation, and then multiplying the three numbers together, I get that the volume of the box is 585.3 cubic centimeters. Now let's do the tennis balls, which are shaped like spheres. Now the formula for volume of a sphere is 4 pi r cubed over 3. But since we have 3 of them, I'll just multiply that by 3. So now the radius of the sphere is going to be half of the width, and half of 5.8 is 2.9. So that's what I'm going to put in my formula. So you can start by working out what's inside the brackets, and then multiply that by 3. That should give you a volume of 306.5 cubic centimeters. So now again, to find the empty space, we need to subtract these two volumes. We'll take the volume of the box and then subtract the volume that's taken up with the tennis balls. Then we would have the amount of space left, which would be 278.8 cubic centimeters. So let's look at finding volume of composite objects. You can now move on to the next video where we'll look at surface area of composite objects.